A wonderful afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the celebration of the 175th anniversary of this college. The anniversary is themed 175 years of holistic teacher education, honoring our past, celebrating the present, and shaping the future. The series of activities that are needed to make the anniversary successful happen to be outlined there. And this very event we are experiencing or about to experience happens to be the second on that list. There are 4 mighty halls on this campus. The Great Noble Hall, the Great Achichiri-Nwa Hall, the Great Penido Hall, and the Great Efuntumeku Hall. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to commence a battle of brains, facts, evidence, confidence, boldness, and what have you, between the 4 traditional halls of this institution. Everything that starts, we start with prayer, and we can't do without it. So without further ado, we call on the Vice SRC President of the institution. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as we invite Confidence to give us the opening prayer.
Most gracious everlasting Father, we thank you for this wonderful moment. Lord, it's our prayer that you send down your Holy Spirit to come and take charge of today's activity. So at the end, much praises and adoration will be given unto your name. We thank you for an answered prayer. Amen.
We have now successfully committed the event into God's hands. Ladies and gentlemen, we have among us some dignitaries who are supposed to be acknowledged, but in due time, they will be done that too. Moving on my list of programs, we are supposed to know the purpose of our being gathered here. We are supposed to know why we are all seated in our various hall paraphernalia and then waiting for something to happen. That purpose will be done by a special somebody who happens not to be here. And in a few moments, when the person is here, that will be done. Moving on, you could see that there are some special seats and a table before those seats with some powerful men and a woman. These people are going to be our judges for today. They are going to be our judges for today. And we are going to make them introduce themselves to us and what they expect from the contestants as they climb upstage. So ladies and gentlemen, our judge number 1.
My name is Patrick Adai Oti. I'm a co-judge for today's debate.
Good afternoon. My name is Anita Brakoyeboa. I'm a co-judge.
I'm a co-judge.
We now know the judges we have on the table. We want to know from them what their expectations are.
We want to have a very competitive debate where contestants will make sound arguments. They can rebut their opponent's arguments. Where necessary, they make concessions and convince everybody that they deserve to win.
We also expect that the arguments that will be proffered would be backed by evidence such as statistics, quotations, figures, amongst other things.
We are looking at applying, not just rattling, but applying the knowledge that you gained at your research stage, so that we will all live here informed and educated. We also want you to apply all the rules. You will have time to rebut. And so if there is a point you do not agree with, take note and build your rebuttal around that point. But let's have fun, and may the one who is better prepared win the day. Thank you.
I believe that our contestants have paid heed to the information our judges require of them. The various halls present, the various halls and their contestants, you have heard the judges. This debate cannot commence if there's no chair. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a chairperson for the event this afternoon. He was a student from 1978 to 1981. If I say he was a student, I mean of this institution. He came back as a tutor from 1993. He was a housemaster, then promoted as the senior hall warden, and then later the vice principal. He moved to Abetifi Presby Secondary School as headmaster, later transferred to Presec Legon as headmaster. He was a council member of the Presby University Ghana and also a council member of the University of Professional Studies Accra, UPSA. Presently, he's a board chairman for the new Insutem Secondary Technical School. Ladies and gentlemen, our chairperson for today, Mr. Africanus Anane.
Thank you very much. I just want to appreciate the fact that you have given me this mandate to perform. And against the background where so much noise was made, the energy by which you came into the room, I believe is the same energy you're going to use to perform here. And so we would not want anybody to give you any form of excuse. I just like the energy you exhibited when we were entering into the room. And I think you have to use the same energy to do the debate. It's my firm belief that we're going to have a very successful competition. And in any competition, we know people have their expectations. If your own people are not able to meet your expectation, forgive them, because they will have their flaws. The expected result is come from an academic environment and academic work that has been done. I believe there'll be somebody who will explain the means by which the competition will go. And so I would reserve my energy for that. But I have to tell you, I have accepted to be the chair, and I believe that we'll have a very fruitful competition as an educator for myself. And so, without doing so much, I hand over the mic to the MC, and let us have the competition rolling on.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have our first set of competitions. Let me help you with how the competitions are going to go. First, we will have 2 halls compete on a given motion. Then after that, the 2 other halls will also debate on a different motion. And the winners from both competitions will meet at the finals. Those who didn't win at both competitions will go for a 3rd place. So, without wasting much time, the first set of events. Ladies and gentlemen, debaters of Hall 1 and Hall 2, please climb upstage.
The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, distinguished guests, fellow colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Representing the great and prestigious Noble Hall, I am Reynold Nyako Dakwa, principal speaker for the motion before the House, and I quote, the introduction of an affirmative action policy on admission into colleges of education in Ghana is long overdue, unquote. The chair kindly permits me to elucidate certain key terms in the motion for the better understanding of my lovely audience. School Act defines affirmative action as a set of policies designed to eliminate discrimination in education, employment, and other areas of life. Dictionary.com also defines long overdue as needed or expected for some time. It is on this note, that we rise to present to you factual arguments as to why the affirmative action policy should be implemented, and not listen to the politically tainted arguments my opponents here will be talking about. The chair, our premier point in favor of our stance is that the introduction of the affirmative action policy will help promote gender equity. Giving women higher opportunities in education to gain admission into colleges of education is something our educational sector will benefit greatly from. With an affirmative action policy being implemented in our colleges of education, it will pave more way for more female students to be enrolled, and this will create gender balance. In recent times, the chair, some colleges like the EP College of Education, Amajope, have altered their admission policies to suit the necessary criteria for admitting more female students than male students. This is a bold step that most colleges of education should start taking. Kwajiwagri once stated, and I quote, if you educate a man, you simply educate an individual, but if you educate a woman, you educate a whole nation, unquote. The chair, with this being said, I strongly believe that considering affirmative action will help women pursue their educational goals and achieve career aspirations in life. Also, the chair, the implementation of the affirmative action policy will promote diversity and alleviate biases. Affirmative action, the chair, has been on the forefront of combating educational biases while it promotes diversity in all academic sectors. This can be achieved by inclusion of individuals of all social backgrounds, considering their linguistic, social, religious, cultural differences and sex are given a platform to grow. This is in line with Ghana's yet to be passed affirmative action bill, which seeks to involve more women in policy-making spaces. In our modern Ghana, the chair, women are underrepresented to take up leadership roles in the society. That is why when you come here on PCE campus, the first ever female SRC president is the first ever female SRC president is Miss Gloria Gama. Moreover, the chair, the affirmative action policy will help build the culture of inclusion and equity in our colleges' admissions. The chair, the affirmative action policy will bring an avenue for all students to be involved in college of education. It gives students the advantage and the disadvantage, the chance to learn together irrespective of their defects and impairments. Inclusivity will provide quality education for all, and it is very instrumental in changing discriminatory attitudes in students. This, in the long run, will foster tolerance and unity, such that all individuals will feel safe and welcome. The chair of the House, my opponents here are refusing to see the fact that inclusivity is playing a major role in this our institution. I equal to the Presbyterian College of Education, the mother of our schools, for admitting our dear visually impaired and hearing impaired students into this institution and paving way for other colleges to emulate. Furthermore, the introduction of the affirmative action policy will help reverse societal losses. Individuals who depend on government aids in orphanages and disabled groups who have interest in teaching could be enrolled into colleges of education because of affirmative action. These individuals can share in national development by working as productive persons in their employed spaces. This will in turn reduce dependency on the state. The chair of the House, a publication posted on businessghana.com 2 years ago, reveals that the Deputy Minister of Education, Mr. Intim Fojo, clearly says that the government is ready to harness talent of children with to harness talents of children with disabilities under the Gifted and Talented Educational Policy Program, which was meant to be rolled out the following academic year. And with this, societal losses would be greatly reduced. Lastly, Chair, the introduction of the affirmative action policy will help bridge the gap between the affluent and the less disadvantaged students. This policy will help bring these individuals at par by helping women and persons with disabilities gain quality access to education, and provide them with the knowledge and skills necessary for academic development. The Chair, a statistical report posted on statisticghana.com clearly reveals that 2.99 million of Ghana's population lives in extreme poverty, which is equivalent to 10%, and I repeat, 10% of the country's population. The Chair, the sad fact about it is that majority of these individuals are women and persons with disabilities. These individuals tend to increase the dependency ratio and also become liabilities on the state. It is with this urgency, the Chair, that we need the affirmative action policy to be implemented. Coretta Scott King once said, and I quote, "To abandon affirmative action is to say there is nothing more to be done about discrimination." The Chair, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, distinguished guests, fellow colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, we need not waste my time at the baseless points my opponents here will be talking about, because I strongly believe that my stated points have convinced you all to rally behind me for the motion. I quote, the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into colleges of education in Ghana is long overdue. Thank you.
The principal speaker for the motion has made his point. Principal speaker against the motion, stage is yours.
The Chair, impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, tutors present, colleague students, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I deem it a great pleasure to be called upon to debate at this august occasion. My name is Dr. Victor Mauli, and I'm a proud member of the Achichone Waho. Achinoza! I am the principal speaker against the motion, quote unquote, the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into the colleges of education in Ghana is long overdue. However, the Chair, before I proceed with my main point, permit me to define some basic key terminologies in the motion. Affirmative action. In fact, according to www.investopedia.com, Will Kenton on August 5, 2022, defined it as a policy which is aimed at increasing educational opportunities for the underrepresented in our society. Education, that's the higher educational, education is the process of acquiring knowledge through instruction. The Chair, permit me to move on with my main point. One, the affirmative action policy is a self-discrimination policy. The Chair, this policy does not affect the other groups who are not beneficiaries, and how my colleague co-debaters will want to know. This policy creates a narrow gateway for equally potential students who need to be given an equal opportunity in terms of education. The Chair, the 1992 Constitution of this noble country clearly states in Article 25, Clause 1, that there should be an equal opportunity in terms of education for all of us. And so, in the first place, I see the affirmative action as what? Unconstitutional, and must be regarded as what? Null and void. Again, the Chair, the affirmative action is very, very difficult to implement. The Chair, this policy does not hold a clear concord content of relevance, since it does not know, 1, who, 2, which, 3, how to favor. Our traditional colleges is a holistic institution which embraces all manner of persons in terms of race, gender, ethnicity, creed, and even their disability. And so, I see no reason why you should implement the affirmative action policy into our colleges of education in Ghana. The chair, there was a research survey conducted in the US of A in the year 2016 to consider whether or not if it is important to introduce the affirmative action policy into their country. And the chair, it was very surprising that about 63%, my colleague co-debaters, listen, 63% they voted against the motion simply because it doesn't help. It will never help their colleges to improve. Furthermore, the chair, the affirmative action policy, it is not a key admission requirement. The chair, in every professional institution, there are laid out rules and restrictions to limit the level of admission into their colleges. Such includes attaining a reasonable minimal aggregate, applying as an applicant, and upholding a reputable testimonial. The chair, these measures played an unbiased role in our admission processes. And so my confused co-debaters, what has actually gone wrong that they need to introduce the affirmative action policy into our colleges of education? Please don't come and then disturb the house with this policy which you have no basis to back up. The chair again, it violates the principle of meritocracy. This very point I would like to pose to my colleague co-debaters. In fact, my co-debaters, I want to ask you a simple but relevant question. Won't you be frustrated for life? Listen attentively. Won't you be frustrated for life if you have been denied series of admission into this very college of education simply because your good grade, their good grade doesn't fall under the criteria of the affirmative action? Listen, you see, that is why the Bible even states in Mark chapter 15 verse 31. I want to quote this for you. It says, the Bible clearly states that you should love your neighbor as yourself, do good unto others, just as you want others to do good unto you. My co-debaters, why do you want to thwart the image of potential students like us with this affirmative action policy? We are sick and tired of this policy of yours. Again, the chair, the affirmative action policy will perpetuate the very inequality it seeks to address by admitting people based on gender, race, ethnicity, other than abilities and capabilities. The chair, I want to ask my co-debaters another reasonable question. My co-debaters, why do they want to use a problem to solve another problem? Our colleges, as we are speaking now, they are autonomous. They are developing on their own. And so we need not such an empty affirmative action policy to do what? Please, to do what? Please, we are sick and tired of it, as I earlier said. And under no circumstances, as we are much convinced that we will introduce the affirmative action policy into our colleges of education, will you? No, you won't. The chair, before I resume my seat, I would like to make a quote from Susan Estrick. In fact, she said, affirmative action was never, are you listening, my co-debaters? She said, affirmative action was never meant to be permanent. And so it is about time we think about another alternative. This is a simple alternative. My confused co-debaters, I would like to state emphatically that if you want to think about any other policy, you want to introduce it into our colleges of education, then do what? Try and run away from affirmative action. Run away. Because affirmative action is rather going to do us more harm than what? Good.
Thank you very much. With us here, we have the father of the college. When it comes to management, he is the head. The Reverend, the Dr. Nicholas Aprecian, the principal, is here with us. Also with us is the HOD of the Languages Department, Madame Comfort Annan, popularly known as AWU. From the Department of Social Sciences, Mr. Prince Afriye. From the Department of Education, Mr. Samson Bedima. Also from the Department of Education, Madame Rose Ofair. From the Procurement Office, he is the Procurement Officer, Mr. Boahin, with us. Ladies and gentlemen, as more dignitaries come through, they will be duly introduced. First supporting speaker, the stage is yours.
The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. I am in the person of Emmanuel Nate, representing the Great Noble Hall as the first supporting speaker for the motion, quote unquote, the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into the colleges of education in Ghana is long overdue. To begin, the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into the college of education in Ghana will help to reduce the total number of dropout rate of historical marginalized students who may feel isolated and discouraged. A new research conducted by University of California, Los Angeles found out that the total number of students that enroll into the university when affirmative action policy was implemented was 40.8%. But due to the ban of affirmative action policy, the total number of students that enroll into the university reduced by 37%. The chair, 37%. The chair, historical marginalized students, such as the less disadvantaged, the less minority, the disabled students, the less private students, that feel isolated and discouraged in the colleges of education. When affirmative action policies are being implemented, it will help the less minority students, the less disadvantaged, and the hearing impaired students to feel safe and carried into the colleges of education. This will help the students to feel safe, whereby they will improve on their academic performance. The chair, our opponent tried to tell us that the introduction of the affirmative action policy in college of education should be introduced. Secondly, the chairperson, the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into the college of education will increase minority teachers and have a positive impact on minority students. The chair, a study conducted by the National Association of Education, found out that minority teachers have positive impact on minority students. The chair, there is a clear evidence to the fact that the Minority Teachers Association seeks to empower students of minority background. The chair, there is a clear example that a disabled student will boldly hit their chest and say, yes, I can also make it live. As far as my disabled teacher, as far as my hearing impaired teacher, as far as my less private teacher is able to make it to this far in life, this will encourage the students. This will improve on academic performance of the students. The chair, it is indeed long overdue for the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into the colleges of education in Ghana. Finally, the chairperson, the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into the colleges of education in Ghana will help reduce biases and promote a more equitable system of selection. The chair, out of the 46 colleges in Ghana, only 3 colleges does inclusivity. What happens to the rest of the 43 colleges left? The chair, my opponent trying to tell us that the disabled students, the less disadvantaged students, the hearing impaired students, and the visual students are not qualified to be enrolled in those 43 colleges left? The chair, when affirmative action policy is being implemented on the College of Education, on their admission, the chair, it will let us, the hearing impaired students, the visual students, and the less minority students be enrolled in those colleges. My opponent needs to understand the fact that the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into the colleges of education in Ghana, it is indeed long overdue. Oh, the chair, does it the gander also deserve what is good for the goose? The chairperson, my opponent, clearly made a statement that are you using a problem to solve another problem? The chair, I want to tell my opponents that the meaning of affirmative action policy is that giving everybody equal chance of education. The less minority, the disabled student, the less private student, the chair, the hearing impaired student, giving them all the chance to be enrolled into education. The chair, my opponent's statement clearly means that the chair, your less disadvantaged child, either your disabled child, should not be educated, should not get access to education. The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, I strongly stand for the motion, quote unquote, the introduction of the affirmative action policy on admission into the colleges of education in Ghana is long overdue. To my opponent, checking your stance, you decide. Thank you.
Vice Chair, impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day. I go by the name Franco Sadiq, the first supporting speaker against the motion, and I quote and unquote, the introduction of an affirmative action policy on admissions into colleges of education in Ghana is long overdue. The chair, when I'm done elaborating on the reasons why I speak in contrast to this motion, not only are you going to crown me victorious, but also reprimand my co-debater for standing for the motion in the first place. The chair, below are the reasons why I speak in contrast to this motion. 1. The chair, I know my learned co-debater is going to argue that affirmative action tends to bring minority groups as par with the major ones. Well, this may seem as a noble goal, but the consequences of this vastly outweighs the good it was intended to do in the first place. Why should people be admitted into colleges of education in Ghana based on their ethnicity, based on their gender, based on their race, instead of looking at how competent they are? The chair, I urge the entire House as a whole to put themselves in shoes of candidates who are financially and academically drained, only to be rejected when they apply for admissions into these colleges of education in Ghana. The chair, this is a painful sanction, and what was their crime? They actually qualified to gain admission. The chair, they might as well give up on education then. 2, affirmative action discourages students from working hard and striving for excellence. The chair, when persons belonging to these minority groups are being granted admission into colleges of education in Ghana, irrespective of their results, it creates the perception that one will have a higher chance of being admitted as long as they belong to these minority groups. The chair, how do you expect people who are going to be favored to put in their all? Generally, students are always looking for excuses to slack, and here comes my narrow-minded co-debater, giving them a reason to do so. The chair, in the long run, how is this going to affect the other students in the school? 3, Ghana already has a diverse student population, so it is not necessary. The chair, across the 46 colleges of education in Ghana, there are already a diverse group of people. Minority groups are already as far with the major ones. People from all walks of life, from the visually impaired to the hearing impaired, are scattered across all these 46 colleges of education in Ghana. The chair, so I see no need to implement this weak policy. This act condones biasness towards minority groups. The chair permits me to ask my learned co-debater this simple but relevant question. Why do you want to use a half solution to solve a problem that has already been solved? Up to my 4th point, the chair, affirmative action will create financial burden for colleges that will have to offer extra support for these groups. The chair, are you going to believe that across the 46 colleges of education in Ghana, only 3 of them, I repeat, only 3 of them, offer support for these special needs students? The chair, so if this affirmative action policy is being implemented, how do you expect these people who are going to be granted admission to cope? The chair permits me to ask my learned co-debater this question. How are you going to solve ICT without computers? How are you going to solve mathematics without calculators? Why do you extend a hand for these special needs students, later on kick them? The chair, if it were up to me, this affirmative action policy would be rolled like this and tossed into the Greater Children or toilets. Up to my 5th point, affirmative action leads to brain drain. The chair, when qualified applicants are being denied series of admissions into colleges of education, they express the impression that their simple good grades is not enough to gain admission. They tend to vent into other fields. The chair, this hurts us in the long run because all the competent teachers are nowhere to be found. The chair, how will you feel? The chair, how will you feel if your child, how will you feel if your child that you care about, that you think about, is being left in incompetent hands? The chair, this is a very sad situation. The chair, my learned co-debater stood here saying that affirmative action
tends to bring minority groups as par with the major ones. The chair, minority co-debater stood here saying that affirmative action tries to bring minority groups at par with the major ones. The chair, the audience, I believe we are all critical thinkers, and we've thought far and long about this affirmative action policy to know that it brings more harm than good. The chair, all protocols will acknowledge. I believe my well-raised and elaborated points have made time the only impediment, keeping my teammates and I from being crowned winners of this debate contest. Thank you.
The wisest chairperson, panel of impartial judges, precise timekeeper, all protocols duly observed. Greetings to you all. I respond to the name Duholi Dialog, a proud member of the Great Noble Hall, and I rise as the second supporting speaker to speak for the motion, and I quote, the introduction of an affirmative action policy on admission into colleges of education in Ghana is long overdue, unquote, and my duty here is to abridge all reasons already presented by my team, and in the end, you will realize why we strongly stand to affirm this motion. 1. Affirmative action policy will promote diversity and alleviate biases. 2. It will promote gender equity. 3. It will promote the culture of inclusion and equity in college admission. 4. It will reverse societal losses. 5. It will bridge the gap between the less privileged and affluent students. 6. It will reduce the dropout rate of historically marginalized students. 7. It will increase the number of minority teachers. 8. It will reduce the rate of unemployment, the chairperson. And finally, the chair of the House. Affirmative action policy will help to ensure that colleges of education in Ghana will gain access to the best and brightest students from all backgrounds. The chair of the House, the Sustainable Development Goal 4, emphasizes emphatically that each and every child should get equal access to quality education. With this, permit me to find out from my opponent, when you are given the chance to be the head of a noble institution like that of ours, are you trying to lie before this August House that you are going to deny access to students who are less privileged and students who are disabled? The ball lies in your court to decide. Once again, honorable chairperson, impartial panel of judges, a great timekeeper, co-debaters, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we stand to affirm the motion, and I quote, the introduction of an affirmative policy on admission into college for education in Ghana is long overdue. And now to you, my opponent, if you sit, we stand. If you stand, we stand out. If you stand out, we outstand. And if you outstand, we be the standard. Thank you. The wisest chairperson, impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. I respond to the name Patience Maupemo, a proud member of the Great Achichere Nwa Hall, rising as the second supportive speaker against the motion before the House. I quote and unquote, the introduction of an affirmative action policy on admission into colleges of education in Ghana is long overdue. The chair, the House, I know the well-raised and elaborated points by my principal and first supportive speaker has left the House no doubt as to why the motion is false. I beseech the House, therefore, to follow me as I pour out all the factual and undeniable points raised by my team for which we stand against the motion. 1. It is not a key admission requirement. 2. It places the minority in environments where they are less likely to succeed. 3. It creates a culture of victimization and entitlement. 4. It is very difficult to implement. 5. It violates the principle of meritocracy. 6. Ghana already has a diverse student population, and so it is not necessary. 7. It will lead to the exclusion or denial of highly qualified applicants who do not belong to these preferred groups. 8. It undermines the merit-based nature of college admission. 9. It will perpetuate the very inequality it seeks to address by promoting individuals based on race, ethnicity, gender, rather than abilities or capabilities. 10. It will discourage students from learning hard and striving for excellence. 11. It is a form of reverse discrimination. 12. It will create resentment and division among faculties and staffs. 13. It will create excess financial burden for colleges who have to offer extra support for these minority groups. 14. It will lead to program placements for applicants who do not reflect their true interest and abilities. 15, it will lead to brain drain of applicants and potential applicants. The chair, the house. If not for the ticking of the clock, I would have spent time to share you all tissues to wipe out the dust thrown into your eyes by my opponents. Long live Ghana, long live PCE, long live Eddie Kanfo, long live Great Architecture Nengwa Hall. Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of the first competition. Please put your hands together for both sets of contestants. They have done what Napoleon could not do. Judges, I believe your scores are compiled and collated. Not yet. Contestants, we thank you so much for giving us such a wonderful competition, but we will ask you to take leave of us as the next set of persons come and take on the stage. Please put your hands together and welcome them to your various halls.
The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, guests, fellow debaters, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. Address me by the name Master Eddie Chumkwam Nobed, a proud member of the Great Pinido Hall, and I stand as the principal speaker for the motion before the House, and I quote, the non-residential policy should be introduced in colleges of education in Ghana, unquote. The chairperson, before I move on, allow me to expatiate certain keywords in the motion which will prove relevant on my side of the argument. According to the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, non-residential means the state of not having to live or work, or the state of not having to live at where one works or study. Policy means a plan of action agreed upon and introduced, means something that has been made available for use. Therefore, the motion, when paraphrased, will mean the state of not having to stay in where one study should be made available in colleges of education. The chairperson, these are the reasons why my team and I vehemently stand for this motion. The chair, number one, we believe that it will give opportunity for development of personal skills in students. The chairperson, let me ask, in residential setting, do students have to think about the food they will eat? No. Do they have to think about the bills they will pay? No. But the chair, you as an individual who is in the real life, don't you think about the food you will eat every day? Do you not think about the light bills and the water bills you pay? Do you not think about how you even put things together to feed yourself in a week and in a month? Thus, getting financial literacy. The chair, this is what we want to teach the students in non-residential setting. We believe that the tertiary is a transformative process. Thus, what you do at the tertiary is moving you to the next stage in life. And I think this is the best platform where the students can learn skills like financial literacy, home management, and when they get to real life, they won't fumble in making better decisions for their life. The chair, I would also like to talk about the opportunity that it gives for students to take part-time jobs. The chairperson, I would not lie. You can bear me out. Even the lecturers on campus, they have part-time jobs. How much more we the students? How much more we the students? Don't we need to take jobs that can help us to earn something small? The chair, it is very, very obvious that some of the students here are independent. Thus, they don't depend on parents. They do not depend on guardians. They provide for themselves. And so when they come to school and they're in the non-residential setting, they will be able to take up part-time jobs to feed themselves, pay their tuition fee, and even get time to get some extra cash to pay for their books. The chair, it is very obvious that when you look at the big town of Ekropong, there are parents who need teachers to teach their words. Is this not free money for us, who when we call ourselves students, teachers? The chair, this is an evidence showing a student who sold newspapers during his time in the university. It reads, light at the end of tunnel. Man who paid school fees by selling newspapers finally graduate and now in NYSC. The chairperson, another point I would like to talk about is the comfort it brings to students with physical disabilities. The chair, let us be very realistic. In fact, I do not want to ridicule anyone, but a chairperson, if you had a ward who could not walk, sit on wheels, and had to walk by crawling on the ground, would you wish that your ward would use the same toilet facilities that we use in our various dormitories? The chairperson, look, this is a picture of one of the halls of residence. We claim that this institution is an inclusivity-friendly, this institution, we practice inclusivity. But the chair, look at it. Does our resources and infrastructure facilities support inclusivity? No. And so this is not a comfort to the students with disability opportunities, but rather a discomfort. The chairperson, I would also like to talk about the reduction in the pressure which is mounted on the infrastructural facilities in the colleges of education. The chair, according to interviews that we conducted with several of the hall wardens, both outdoor and current, they said they have never seen such a time as this, where beds and chairs will be broken and and the various halls would have to be renovated because of what? The congestion that has happened. In the past years, it didn't happen. Now it is happening. What do we want to do? We are trying to say that the non-residential will cause a reduction in the pressure that is mounted on the facilities in the college. This is an evidence showing some of the beds which have been broken. The chairperson, I will not take you far. Just look at this side. There are lots of chairs that are broken. Do you think it's that the students are careless? No. It is the pressure that is mounted on them. Look, even us, we complain that we are being strained in our academic system. We go home, level 100 will come to school, level 100 and 200 will come to school, they go. 300 and 400 will come, they go. The sandwich students will come, they go. The chair, when they finish, 400 and 300 will come back. Their infrastructures are suffering. Do we need to tell you that they need time to be renovated? Or the chair, let me ask my opponent. I don't think you would wish that you go to a school which has all the infrastructures destroyed. The chairperson, last but not the least, the last point I want to talk about is the reduction in the congestion and rapid spread of disease. The chair, this is the picture of how the dormitories look. Very, very congested. Very congested. And look, it is not just about its congestion, but how diseases will be able to spread easily when things are not put in place. Was it not some few months ago when students had to be rushed to the hospital because there was a presumed food poisoning? It was not one student, it was not two, it was not three, but over 10 to 20 students who were rushed to the hospital because there is the belief that there is food poisoning. But the chair, take note of this. In a non-residential setting, when I cook, I chop, me alone they chop. If there is anything that happens, I not the suffer plus anyone. So I think the non-residential setting will rather help reduce the congestion and prevent illnesses that will spread faster. So the chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, guests, fellow debaters, ladies and gentlemen, I would not want to bore you with long talks, but I want my opponents to know, do not be unsentimental and do not be so disheartening to disapprove of change. The chair, we are not saying that residential setting should be eliminated, but we are saying that students should be given the opportunity to decide if I want to be in a residential setting or I want to be in a non-residential setting. Is this choice difficult for us to take? This is what we are pushing for, and this is what we stand for. Thank you.
Principal Speaker against the motion.
the chairperson, panel on judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the only true hall in this college, affectionately referred to as the military hall, the great Efutumeku Hall. Efutumeku! Joseph Joubert once said, "It is better to debate a question without settling it than to settle a question without debating it." It is in this spirit that I, Evans Kwesi Ephraim, the principal speaker for the negative team, rise to speak on the motion, and I quote, "A non-residential policy should be introduced in colleges of education in Ghana," unquote. The adverse effects such a policy may have on the customary practices that take place within the college setting extremely overwhelm the purported positives my opponents are claiming they may have. And my argument will be based on the following points. 1. Commuting challenges. 2. Limited access to campus facilities. 3. Less involvement in extracurricular activities. 4. Reduced sense of belonging. 5. Decline in academic performances. Join me as we emancipate ourselves from the lies and deception spread by my opponents. The chair, I'm going to set the ball rolling with one of the most significant disadvantages of a non-residential policy in our colleges, the issue of transportation. Commuting from one place to the other is not a feat so easily achieved in this beloved country of ours. Bad roads, massive traffic congestions, and rickety vehicles can all hinder academic progress. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not need an increment in the number of students who get to lectures late in our colleges. The cost of transport fares is another cause of worry. According to an article published in 2012 by Paul Nkegbe and Abdul Mumin Yazid, non-residential students of the University of Development Studies spend an average of 6 cedis on transportation every week. Only that, you say? The value of this money is some 20 cedis in current financial terms. I don't know about you, but I don't intend on spending more than I used to buy my data bundles for research on transportation alone. The chair, limited access to campus facilities has been a headache to non-residential students for a very long time. Non-residential students have limited opportunities to use the campus facilities such as the computer labs and the libraries. As cited on page 7 of the August 2017 issue of the Nigerian Academic Forum, Abu 2010 reported that off-campus students have limited access to the university libraries as they spend less time on the campus than their residential counterparts. This means non-residential students are basically handicapped when it comes to accessing college facilities. I don't know why my opponents keep wishing for such a predicament on college students, but I beseech you, honorable judges, please do not make this a part of the numerous problems faced by college students by allowing such a policy to run. The chair, non-residential students have been known to exhibit a high level of apathy towards extracurricular activities. You want evidence? This is found in the article titled "Student Involvement, a Developmental Theory for Higher Education," published in the September-October 1999 issue of the Journal of College Students Development by Alexander W. Aston. In the article, it was identified that commuter students, in the article, it was noted that residents are more likely than commuters to achieve in extracurricular areas such as leadership and athletics, and to express satisfaction with their undergraduate experience, particularly in areas of student friendships, student-faculty relations, institutional reputation, and social life. These are all benefits that non-residential students may miss if we allow such a policy to run in our colleges. I have been a witness to residential students facing punishments as severe as suspension for missing a social gathering. Please again, let us not allow this policy to run, else we brace ourselves for more of such issues in our colleges. The chair, furthermore, non-residential students often develop a lack or reduced sense of belonging as compared to their residential counterparts. As cited by Daniel Sikwari and colleagues in the 2020 Volume 8, Issue 1 of the Journal of Student Affairs in Africa, Jacobi 1989 identified that commuter students often lack a sense of belonging or feeling wanted by their institutions. In most cases, institutions do not provide adequate opportunities for commuter students to develop relationships with peers, faculty, and other students. This will only translate as students not feeling attached to areas where they have no significant relationships. And in the end, they would not help or care for their colleges when they graduate and become alumni. But the chair, you would agree with me on the statement that we already have this problem, and there's absolutely no need to have an increment in the numbers of such students. All I have said so far culminates into this fifth and final point, and that is the fact that non-residential policy could cause a decline in the academic performance of students. Commuting challenges, limited access to campus facilities, and the inability to build proper relationships with peers and faculty could all contribute to the abysmal academic performances by non-residential students. All the above stated points and frustrating issues influenced the statements made by Abu 2010 in the same issue of the Nigerian Academic Forum mentioned earlier. It was stated that as a result, their academic performance suffers, and this causes a drop in the academic output, in the quality of academic output. I concede that indeed allowing such a policy into our colleges would increase the numbers of enrollment exponentially. That is true. But that would also mean sacrificing quality for quantity. And what proper college of education will be willing to do that? The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen. Even though this debate is far from over, it is very evident that my opponents are here only to deceive. But I beseech you to show them that indeed we are intellectuals by rallying behind my team and I, as we stand against the motion, and I quote, "A non-residential policy should be introduced in colleges of education in Ghana." Unquote. My parting gift to my opponents is this quote from Robert A. Heinlein: "If you've got the truth, you can demonstrate it. Talking does not prove it." Thank you.
First supporting speaker for the motion.
Honorable Chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. The motion before the House is, and I quote, "A non-residential policy should be introduced in colleges of education in Ghana." End of quote. I am in the person of Kingsford J. Kwadade, a proud member of the Great PDD Hall, speaking as the first supporting speaker for the motion. To begin, a non-residential policy will increase the enrollment of students. A non-residential policy is designed in a way that students can come all the way from their homes to attend lectures without depending on campus accommodation. This will, in a way, help colleges for education to enroll in more students without accommodation challenges. According to an article made by Ellis Ferdinand on the 20th of February, stated out clearly that over 3,700 qualified students were denied of admission into Accra College of Education, all in the name of infrastructure deficit. So the House, do you want to tell me that if a non-residential policy was introduced back then, these over 3,700 qualified students, qualified students, wouldn't have been granted admission? Secondly, the chairperson, it will promote diversity and cultural exchange. Kofi Annan, the then Secretary General of the UN, once said, and I quote, "We may have different religions, different languages, different colored skin, but we all belong to the same human race." End of quote. The the introduction of a non-residential policy will promote diversity and cultural exchange in the sense that although we may have student representatives on the various cultures we have in the school setting population, but with a non-residential status, students may have the opportunities to exhibit their culture through the way they cook, the way they dress, and many more, therefore making them as the ambassadors of their own culture. Finally, the chairperson, it will promote customized learning system. The chair, you can bear me out that we have different learning styles. In fact, some people believe that they can only learn whilst listening to music. Others also love when they study under conducive environment without being distracted. So the house, ask yourself how many of these learning styles of students under the residential status is well taken into consideration. That's why my team and I is suggesting that the non-residential policy should also be introduced in colleges of education so that students can meet their preferred learning styles. The chair, before I conclude, I heard my opponent here saying that the non-residential status will decline academic performance. But the chair, this is a clear evidence to the fact that a statistics made by the University of Winneba, Ghana, show that non-residential students perform equally better as those of under the residential status. That's what the chair. I don't believe that what my opponents are saying is the truth. Honorable Chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that by the presentation of these undisputed facts given by my principal speaker and I, the House will rally behind us as we stand for the motion, and I quote, a non-residential policy should be introduced in colleges of education in Ghana. End of quote. Thank you.
First supporting speaker against the motion.
The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, I, Tata Gift Naki, representing the great Efuntumrekuho, as the queen of the jungle, I will never be subjected to eating grass, even when there is famine. That is not pride, that is who I am. So I still oppose the motion that states, quote and unquote, a non-residential policy should be introduced in colleges of education in Ghana. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, for I'm highly alerted to the deceptions being spread by my opponent. To begin with, the chair, being a non-resident comes with a lot of costs. I heard my opponent talk about payment of fees. Yes, although non-residential students pay fees, but not as compared to the amount of fees paid by residential students. Information obtained from the University of Ghana's schedule for residential fees shows that students who lived in hall residences paid as low as 427 Ghana cedis per student per semester, while students who lived outside campus paid as much as 1,680 Ghana cedis per student per semester. My goodness, the chair. That is more than my school fees for the whole year. My opponent, after reaping the benefit of residential education, sits here, non-residential policy should be introduced. Do you know what really hurts the most? The cost of electricity bills, the cost of light bills, water bills, transportation. If you want non-residential studies to be introduced, why did you come here? You saw Legon. To continue with, non-residential students will be less disciplined. A non-residential policy, when introduced in colleges of education in Ghana, will give students the opportunity to be less disciplined since there are less rules governing students in the outside world as compared to students in the inside world. Acts of misbehavior, such as smoking, drinking, and partying outlets, is more prominent in non-residential students as compared to residential students. Dress code. Although our college runs a residential policy, some of us still go out wearing unprescribed uniforms, and we expect our lecturers to be following us and be sitting our slippers in town. What then are we going to do when our college starts to run a non-residential policy? I'm sure some of us will even go out naked. And information obtained from the National Post-Secondary Student Aid shows that non-residential students are less disciplined as compared to residential students. Finally, there will be no security personnel to protect non-residential students. While measures are being put in place 24/7 to protect residential students, it is a no for non-residential students. There is a high probability of being beaten up or being robbed. Not to talk about the minimum security measures being put in place to protect non-residential students. Well, you want facts? I'll give you. In an article posted by the Journal of Education and Practice investigating the predicament of non-residential students, it shows that majority of the students investigated complained of living in areas of high noise pollution. Some also lived in areas of high rate environmental pollution. Others had bad landlords, and others lived in areas where they had bad neighborhood disputes. The chairperson, my opponent, also said that even if we are struggling to promote inclusivity as a residential education, how much more non-residential? You talk about inclusive education and you say you are struggling to implement inclusive education in our curriculum. Well, how much more are we going to do when colleges start running non-residential policy and students have to come outside and then study here? Hey, My opponent also talked about infrastructure. Well, colleges of education are running residential policy, and some of us even struggle to move chairs from other classrooms to other classes in order to study. When we came to school, in my classroom, we didn't have enough chairs, and we had to go to other classrooms to bring more chairs. What chairs are the non-residential students going to sit on to study? Do you want more pressure on our infrastructure? You also talked about non-residential students, residential students unable to engage in part-time businesses. Well, the flyer that was obtained for the debate was crafted by my dear principal speaker, and you told me that non-residential policy hinders people the ability to be able to work as part-time businesses. No, my dear. The chairperson panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that with all these justified reasons, my team have been able to convince the whole House to rally behind us against the motion before the House, quote and unquote, a non-residential policy should be introduced in colleges of education in Ghana. Opinions are like onions, but they come in different sizes and shape. But it depends on you, the individual, to know how to chop these onions. Checking your stance, you decide. Thank you.
Balloting is over. And for the next round of debate, Hall 2 will be in favor of the motion, and Hall 4 will speak against the motion. The motion is Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers. And Hall 2 will speak for the motion, while Hall 4 speak against the motion. At this point, contestants will move upstage.
The chair, the impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, tutors present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, colleague students, I deem it a great pleasure to be called upon to debate at this august occasion. My name is Dr. Victor Manwil, and I'm a proud member of the Atichironen Waho Atinoza. I am the principal speaker for the motion. I quote, Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers. Fast forward, the chair, before I proceed with my main point, permit me to define some basic key terminologies. Educational system, according to www.wikipedia.org, it defines it as a structure of all institutions and educational opportunities for obtaining education within a country. Employee, someone who has been employed for salaries and wages. Employer, someone or an institution that employs people to work for them. Fast forward the chair, let's delve into the main point of action. First of all, the weakness of our education curriculum and teaching methods clearly shows that our education system is churning out employees instead of employers. The chair, it is obvious that education system is rather promoting theories where students are forced to do memorization, rote learning, and the stuff. The chair, a clear example. This book that I'm having with me, it's full of theories where students like you and I are forced to learn. Would this end up somewhere? No, it will never, because it does not give us the requisite skills that we need in our life. The chair, and this affects us very, very much, because when we end up becoming graduates and graduates, we do not have the access to jobs that we can create ourselves. Again, the chair, there is a limited practical skills development. I said practical skill development. The chair, as education sector, is so real in producing practical skills such as business planning, networking, marketing, and financial management to its prospective youth like you and I. And so we lack these skills. So whenever we complete school, we are not able to set up our own business. And this is affecting us. The chair, the fact that my debater has brought to the house shows the University of Ghana Business School curriculum. They are teaching other staffs in business. But the question is, are we all able to attend such higher institutions? No, we can't. So those in the primary, those in the JHS, those in the SHS, my co-debaters will argue that those in the SHS are offering businesses. Yes, how many of them? The humanity courses, we are practicing or learning the humanity courses, we are more than the business people. And so in effect, it affects the general being of all of us. Again, the chair, the failure, that is my third point, the failure of the education system to incorporate skilled and business-minded personnel to periodically educate its prospective youth through orientations, through seminars, through other symposiums. The chair will lack these skills. Our educational sector gives little or no room to business-minded tycoons such as Ibrahim Mahama, Aliko Dangote, Kennedy Japan, and the rest. They are all business-minded people that we need to give the room to them to educate you and I about how they're able to arise to such a prominent status. In fact, we are lacking behind, we are lacking behind, my co-debaters. Again, the chair. The chair, my fourth point. There is a limited entrepreneur support scheme. The chair, it is surprising. In this country that we live in, you and I live in, we have only one entrepreneurial support scheme, which is called the National Entrepreneurial and Innovation Program. The chair, this initiative, which was being implemented by the government, was meant to provide financial support to prospective youth like you and I when we complete school. The chair, but it is rather surprising, my co-debaters, can you listen to me? It was rather surprising that now this initiative is ineffective. It is ineffective, or it is ineffective to the extent that when people go to them to seek for financial support to start their own businesses, they are being denied access. I remember when the government introduced the planting for food and job policy in this country, prospective youth like you and I, we run to such initiatives to gain some financial support. My co-debaters, they were not giving the support simply because they are not part of the government people. And that is very, very bad. My fifth point, the chair, there is a high rate of unemployment in this country clearly shows that indeed our educational system is doing what? It is producing you job seekers than job producers. How do I explain this? There was a research survey. my co-debaters, are you listening? There was a research survey conducted by the Ghana Living Standards in 2017. Can you listen? In 2017. And it revealed that about 620,000 prospective youths. I said what? 620 prospective youths are unemployed. Why? They have the skills that they can only communicate. They have the skills that they can only use to seek for job, but not the skills they can use to set up job themselves, of which my co-debater and I, we are part. Because as we are speaking now, if we complete, I tell you for a fact, that if the grades doesn't locate us, we will equally channel that route. And this is a bad situation of which I am very passionate about it, and I want to commend or attribute this to education, curriculum. The chair, I believe that all that I've said will be taken into consideration. My colleague co-debaters, please, we are here to talk about the facts. We are here to talk about the truth. And we are here to sensitize the very good people of PCE. Don't mount the podium and try to tell us what you don't know. Because if you prove us wrong, we are going to set you on track. The chair, partial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, colleague students, I believe that all that I've said will be taken into consideration. Now, at the end of it all, we are going to cite that indeed Ghana's educational system churns out employees rather than employers. Thank you.
Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "A man dies when he decides to stand for that which is not true." The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Evans Kwesi Ephraim, an intellectual militant from the only true hall in this college, affectionately referred to as the Military Hall, the Great Efuntumeku Hall. Efuntumeku! I am the principal speaker for the negative team on the motion, and I quote, "Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers." I admit that available evidence have revealed that students are not adequately trained for the job market, not just in developing countries, but in developed countries as well. But efforts have been made to correct these things, and my arguments will be based on these efforts that have been made. Let's go through them. 1, business expansion, business education expansion. 2, startup support. 3, government initiatives. 4, youth entrepreneurship. 5, vibrant informal sector. With these points, I will uproot all of the misconceptions that we as Ghanaians have built about our educational system. The chair, to begin with, there has been an expansion in education, in business education. Ghana is shifting gradually from the theoretical aspect of our education to a more practical education. Our new curriculum for the basic education, for the basic level of our education, the Common Core program, and the new standard-based curriculum all back this point. They see a shift from the normal theoretical talk and chalk to now do and see. The chair, we have institutions, we have built institutions, particularly to train individuals and give them the skills and mindset for them to be able to survive in the job market. We have institutions like the University of Ghana Business School, the KNUST School of Business, UCC School of Business. The chair, I don't know if my opponents know this, but there is a whole course called business in our senior high schools that intends on training senior high students on how to handle businesses. The chair, Ghana has made efforts to make entrepreneurship attractive by providing startup support to individuals who are willing to enter into entrepreneurship. There are some startup support organizations like the Ghana Startup Capital Fund and the Ghana for Startups Association. Now, these have all been made available by private and non-governmental organizations. These initiatives and these institutions
try to provide entrepreneurs with funding, networking opportunities, mentorship, and importantly, training. Now, let's ponder over this. Would these initiatives be successful if it has no backing in our educational system? No. The chair, furthermore, the Ghanaian government has shown a commitment to fostering entrepreneurship through the provision of some initiatives that can help and make entrepreneurship attractive to willing individuals. We have the NEIP, which is the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, the recently launched U-Start by the government of Ghana, which is intended to make entrepreneurship attractive to the youth. All of these initiatives that the government has put in place can only be successful if the foundation of these initiatives are built within our educational system. If not, they would fail. The chair, to continue, there has been a shift in the mindset of Ghanaians towards entrepreneurship. A good number of Ghanaians have now shifted their attention from seeking employment to rather creating their own jobs. They are individuals with degree certificates performing or selling things that are not based on their they are individuals with degree certificates who are into businesses that are not related to their own certificates or what they've learned to do. The chair, this is only evident because individuals who entered into these areas want to venture into new ways to create jobs rather than just seeking for employment for power-hungry individuals who will just drain them of their abilities. The chair, our beloved country has a vibrant informal sector that provides numerous self-employment opportunities. The Ghana Statistical Service's 2015 employment report stated that about 59.9% of employed persons are engaged in the informal establishments, with formal establishments accounting for the remaining 40.01%. Many Ghanaians engage in entrepreneurial activities such as trading, small-scale manufacturing, and services. While these activities may not conform to the traditional notion of entrepreneurship, they highlight the spirit of entrepreneurship within the Ghanaian society. Now, this spirit didn't come from the sky like how the Holy Spirit descended on the individuals. It was embedded in them through education. The chair, and ladies and gentlemen, remember I said we will be uprooting trees of misconception. These evidence-backed points destroys the notion that Ghanaians generally are apathetic towards entrepreneurship, meaning they don't like to be in the entrepreneurship sector. They like to create works. We, Ghanaians, like to create works for ourselves. The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, even though I recognize that the focus on employment may still be dominant in our educational system, efforts have been made and are still being made to correct these things and to foster entrepreneurship and empower individuals to becoming job creators and employers. I believe I have done more than convince you all to rally behind my team and I as to stand against the motion, and I quote, Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers, unquote. Thank you.
First supporting speaker for the motion.
The wisest chairperson, impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, fellow students, I greet you all. I respond to the name Patience Malpemo, a proud member of the Great Achichiri Nwa Hall, rising as the first affirmative speaker for the motion before the House. I quote and unquote, Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers. The chair, the House will agree with me that Ghana's educational system has undergone various educational reforms and yet unable to provide ample employers for Mother Ghana. If I am done elaborating on the reasons why I stand strongly for the motion, not only I will be crowned, but the House will leave this auditorium as winners for siding with the truth. Below are the reasons why I stand strongly for the motion. 1. Inadequate incorporation of technology in education. The chair, the house, research has it that despite the introduction of the standard-based curriculum, teaching and learning is characterized by teaching which is teacher-centered and learners being consumers of knowledge. This is evidence that Ghana's educational system has failed to provide ample educational and instructional technologies to aid learning in the classroom, and the result is that our learners will graduate from the classroom without ample employability skills to create jobs for themselves. Secondly, the failing nature of assessment methods. The house. Assessment is the process of gathering and evaluating data on students' performance and using this information for decision making. However, Ghana's educational system has lacked the ability and capability to assess its learners in a way that will enable them demonstrate skills acquired in their classroom. And the end result is that they will not be able to practice these skills when they enter the job market. Thirdly, inadequate infrastructure and facilities for practice. The house. It's so pathetic these days to see students crossing rivers to schools, to see students using stones as mounts in teaching and learning of ICT. This is because the educational system has failed to erect structures for these learners to be able to undertake their studies. It is so pathetic that most pre-tertiary education lack facilities like laboratories to enable them undertake their studies. Fourthly, mismatch of skills learned in the classroom and actual demand on the labor market. The house. You all will agree with me that employability skills on the market vastly outweigh the competencies gained in the classroom. This is because learners are not equipped with the employability skills to be able to stand out the competition in the market, and that in the long run, they will not be able to find societal and environmental problems around themselves to the extent of providing lasting solutions, and where comes the creation of more employers. Last but not the least, evidence of brain drain. The house. Brain drain in education refers to the phenomenon of highly skilled and educated individuals leaving their home countries to seek for better opportunities and better conditions of service abroad. And so, Ghana does not equip its learners. All it has to equip its learners is the ability to present sound application letters and CV only to seek for job and not to create one for themselves. The house. Before I resume my seat, I will leave the house with one quote, yet one great choice. Albert Einstein once said, "Education is what remains after one has forgotten all what he has learned in school." Thank you.
The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from the first supporting speaker of the Great Afuntumeku Hall. I may be a woman, but Efo Kojomal says, in the chest of a woman is not only an extension of breast and a feeble heart, but a strong desire to possess and use power. And with this power, I strongly oppose the motion before the House, quote and unquote, Ghana's education system churns out employees instead of employers. The chair, please follow me as I justify the reasons why my team is against the motion. First, Ghana's education system encourages creativity and innovation. It is said that you will never be able to reach your destination if you throw stones at everybody that backs at you. We cannot blame our incompetence on the education system. It is evident that you have forgotten your foundation of education lessons. Our teachers are here, but you are disgracing them. Don't worry, I'll help you. Creativity and innovation is one of the basic core competencies which seeks to promote entrepreneurship skills through solving of problems. It helps us and then teach us how to incorporate problem solving and then give us new methods of solving these problems that arise in our daily life. So you mean that after learning all these things, you can't think creatively, innovatively, and give yourself the credit of creating a credible business? Then why are you here? To continue with, the education system of Ghana rather integrates technology. Well, my opponent said seeks to the inadequate incorporation of technology. But no, I say that the education system of Ghana integrates technology. Well, our Ghanaian schools have been increasingly integrating technology into our education system, but you, my opponent, refuse to see everything we need to learn to help us to be entrepreneurs has been integrated in our education. Well, where were you when our mathematics teacher was teaching us profit and loss? When the science teacher was teaching us personal hygiene? When the RME teacher was teaching us attitudes and values? And when the social studies teacher was teaching us entrepreneurship? Do you want the teacher to come to the class and write on the board, "Dear class, today we have employment," before you know that everything you need has been incorporated into our curriculum already? Finally, the chair, our curriculum seeks to collaborate, teamwork, and seeks to help us in collaboration and teamwork. Well, the education system in Ghana promotes collaboration and teamwork through group works, presentations, and extracurricular activities. I'm sure that you guys all had collaboration before you came to sit here, and that has helped you a lot. So do you want to tell me that after all the collaboration you did in order to come and sit here and debate for the motion, you want to tell me that you couldn't gain just a bit of knowledge that will help you to be a good entrepreneur one day? No, you should gain something. This enables individuals to help them to know how to handle different caliber of people, and also help them to be able to adjust to different environments. As an entrepreneur, you should be able to work with all people that you are able that you admit into your work. There is no need for you to be here and then oppose the motion. Well, the chair, my opponent says that my opponent said that this education system has enabled students to be unable to practice what they learn. But I say no, as I said earlier on. My dear principal speaker here is a visual art student. He learns graphics and design from his basic school and then secondary school. But the flyer, which is used for the debate, was designed by him, and he learned that in the basic school. He didn't learn it from any other place. So what else do you want for us to be in order to tell you that everything we need is already in the curriculum? And then you also talked about limited entrepreneurship support and unemployed youth. Well, I have an evidence for you here. In a survey conducted in Kumasi, investigating the number of students, educated business owners, it was obtained that 60% of the business owners were educated, while 40% were uneducated. But the secret about this issue is that the 40% of people who were uneducated were unable to manage their finances well. This is the importance of being educated in Ghana. The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen. With these justified reasons, I believe that I have been able to convince you to rally behind us as we oppose the motion that states, quote and unquote, Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers. Thank you.
The chairperson, impartial panel of judges, our great timekeeper, fellow debaters, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. I am in the person of Dolinda, representing the great Atachern and Wow Hall. The chairperson, before I begin, I will state the motion before the House, and I quote, Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers, unquote. Malcolm X once said, and I quote, education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow, for the future, belongs to those who prepare for it today. The chair, the House, follow me as I list the points my first supportive and principal speaker raised as to why we are for the motion tonight. 1. Limited entrepreneurial support scheme. 2. High rates of unemployment. 3. Lack of creativity and innovation. 4. Weakness of the curriculum. 5. Lack of emphasis on building entrepreneurial and practical skills. 6. Inadequate incorporation of technology in education. 7. The failing nature of assessment methods. 8. Inadequate infrastructure and facilities for practice. 9. Mismatch of skills learned in schools and actual demand on the labor market. 10. The theory nature of examination format. 11. Provision for more humanity courses than technical and vocational courses. 12. Limited knowledge of entrepreneurship. 13. Limited opportunities and exposure to gain more skills. 14. Low level of adventure education. 15. Inadequate financial education. 16. Inadequate in-service training for teachers. 17. Lack of motivation. 18. Evidence of brain drain. That said the House, with all these points raised, I hope the House will rally behind me as to why my team and I are for the motion, and I quote, Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers. Long live Ghana, long live PCE, long live Edikanfo, long live the great Acheche Nwaho.
Ladies and gentlemen, the final debater for the competition, second supportive speaker against the motion.
The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am Ahmed Memunatu from the Great Efuntu Mrekua, and I stand to speak as the second supporting speaker against the motion, quote and unquote, Ghana's educational system churns out employees instead of employers. The chairperson, follow me as I enumerate the justified reasons why my team and I are against the motion. 1. Business education expansion. 2. Startup support. 3. Government initiatives. 4. Youth entrepreneurship. 5. Vibrant informal sector. 6. Education system encourage creativity and innovation. 7. Integration and technology. 8. Collaboration and teamwork. The House, like Socrates once said, there are 3 things that can never hide: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The chair, as far as my team is concerned, the truth will not come from the sky and descend on us. It's left with us to present to you the truth. Never listen to my opponent because they came here with pure fallacies. The chairperson, panel of judges, the chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, distinguished guests, fellow debaters, ladies and gentlemen. With all these undisputed facts, and with the smiles of approval on your faces, I urge you all to rally behind my team and I as we stand vehemently against the motion, quote and unquote, quote and unquote, Ghana's educational system. Buddha once said, an idea that is developed and put into action is more important than an idea that only exists as an idea. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard a lot. Our judges have gone back to their computations, putting 1 and 1 together, 2 and 2 together, and where 4 belongs, they put it in its rightful place. Ladies and gentlemen, from the chairperson, all contestants, please join me up here. All contestants, hall 1, hall 2, hall 3, hall 4 contestants, you are supposed to be upstage right now. Please double up and climb upstage. All contestants, hall 3 contestants, please, you are needed upstage immediately. Every group is supposed to have 4 debaters. Hall 3 contestants, please climb upstage. Hall 3 contestants, you have 2 more debaters to join you. So for your wonderful availability of self, to allow yourself to be used for the very success of this debate, you are all going to be given certifications. So that is why you have all been called up stage. You are all going to be given certificates. And this certificate is for your participation. Your participation. So without further ado, some of the dignitaries here will present to you. So media, we have some special awards for some debaters who stood out during the competition. The judges, the chairperson, and other observers were keenly watching, and this was what came out. We had 4 special awards. 1, the most consistent debater. 2, the most improved debater. 3, the most engaging debater. And then finally, the best debater. Now, these are the individuals who won their various awards. The most consistent debater. Principal Speaker for Hall 2, Dako Victor Mauli. He was the most consistent debater. The next award, the most improved debater. This goes to the, Patience Maupemo Nuosu, the most improved debater. Your most improved debater. Thank you so much. Assume your seat. The penultimate award. The penultimate award. Penultimate award. The most engaging debater. The person who was able to engage the crowd most. Ladies and gentlemen, I am glad it is another lady. Tete Guilty Naki. Your most engaging debater. Your most engaging debater. Thank you so much. The chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, ladies and gentlemen. The best debater for this year's debate competition 2023 in commemoration of the 175th anniversary goes to none other than the principal speaker from the Greater Funtubeku Hall, Ephraim Evans Kwesi. He is the best debater for this year. The best debater for this year. Please take your seat. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. We are now going to hear the final verdict. We are going to hear the final verdict. But before that, we are going to hear the closing remarks from the chairperson. The closing remarks from the chairperson. So please, we should all calm down. After the remarks, he will declare who won this debate. The chair. Please, some silence. Hall 4, please, silence. Silence. Thank you very much. The chair, the floor is yours.
Hello. 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 I must admit, 175 years in the history of any institution in the world is no mean achievement. And we must admit that this college happens to be the first higher institution in the country, and anybody who has passed through this college, either you be a student, a teacher, or a worker in the college, you are proud of yourself. It is on this that with the attainment of this age that no other institution in the country are choked. We are all happy to be alive to celebrate. And this debate that is part of the anniversary, I believe those of us who have the privilege to be in this hall must count ourselves lucky to be part of such a history. If perchance you took part in this debate, then I must say you are very lucky, because it's not everybody who can stand in front of a large crowd to talk and make it to the point our competitors have. We are all proud of ourselves to be part of this history today. And I believe whoever wins will equally be as happy as whoever couldn't win. We have all become part of the winners as far as our presence here is concerned. I wish whatever jubilation that is going on now will go on throughout the night by all the four houses, not just one. Because unity is the strength that we all take. On this note, I want to use this occasion to thank the principal for a very good work done. It's not everybody, considering the economic crisis that you find ourselves, that will make room for such a competition. I also want to thank the management for even their presence here, that we are part of this, and we have enjoyed the debate that has taken place today. We've all learned lessons out of that. And I believe the debate will continue throughout the night, the week, the month, and the years to come till the next anniversary period. On this note, I want to thank everybody who is present here and wish you the best for the celebration. We know the epic will be on the 1st of July, and we believe the message will go all over the country and everybody will present here to join us in the celebration. On this note, I want to declare the winners for this competition, and we call upon the principal to make the two presentations. The second prize winner will come first before the ultimate. From the table, the second hall had 23 points. And the first had 25 points. And we see how close the whole thing is. So close. Anyone could have won. But there should be a winner. So for now, we'll ask the principal to make the presentation to the two. But first, the second winner will be called to take your prize. That's you didn't even take part in the debate, and look at the noise you are making. are freed men and women. The second prize is taking home 500 Ghana cedis and a certificate. The first will take home 1,000 Ghana cedis, a certificate, and a trophy. So, who is the winner? Who is the winner? Who is the winner? For the second prize, I call on reps for 4 to come for their prize.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall 4 came out second. So please go for representation.
Hello. I want the vice principal to come upstage with the PS to assist me and us in doing the presentation. Vice principal, if the PS is around, he should be here. is all about fun. And we are 175 years. And next week, we will be having another program, anniversary lecture. We are looking forward to have this same participation and euphoria. Come around and let's learn together. Having said that, it is just right to thank some key people who have been very instrumental in this process. And I'll start by thanking the planning committee headed by Reverend Mingil for their tirelessness and also for their dedicated service to the college. They sat down, planned all these programs, and it's being rolled out one after the other. We have had the sensitization and the anniversary walk. Today we have had the interhall debate. Next week will be our first anniversary lecture series at 2 p.m. We are looking forward to have you. After which, we will have our musical concert. The program lineup is there for your perusal. I want to thank the panel of judges for their role played this morning. They have been very fair and firm. I also need to thank our chairperson, Mr. Anani, for making time to come and chair this function to a successful end. He is an experienced person, and his experience has been laid to bear. Chair, we are most grateful for having you this evening. I must say, tutors present, we are highly appreciative of your involvement in this process. The non-teaching staff can also not be left out. Our hearts for you, for all that you have done. Students, all the 4 halls, you've done very, very well. We are all winners because we have passed. You passed. You went beyond the pass mark of 20. So you've done very well. We are grateful for all that you have done. On that note, we also have to thank the debaters. We are highly appreciative of the efforts you have put in place. Students, you have comported yourself. It's about fun and learning, and this has been displayed. So we are grateful to all of you for coming around. Having said that, we will have the closing prayer so that we can close. Who is to give us the closing prayer? Stewart, is he around? If he's not around, then let's be upstanding so that we can have our closing prayer. After which, you can make all the noise you want to make, because by then we have closed. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, we bless your name, we lift you high for being our God. We thank you for helping us have this successful debate. To your glory and honor, continue to assist us in all the programs we have lined up, so that at the end of it all will know that this college is 175 years to your glory alone. Help us, strengthen us, direct us, support us in all our endeavors, and let this college grow from grace to grace. In your name we have prayed. Amen. Let's share the grace together. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen.